Yo, what's good, y'all? You dub back here again, here in 2019. Let's get it. Now, for those of you who are my homies in the YouTube anime and manga community, you know how much I love that Baki greatness and that Kingen Asura greatness, y'all. I could have been did this video. I considered it. I was like, but how many people really know King and Asura like that? I'm like, I could introduce, but I'm like, let me hold off. Let me hold off. Of course, I'm manga only. I don't touch that King and Ashura anime. I refuse. I refuse. But a lot of people like it. But y'all, since y'all know about it, we gonna be about it. And there may be slight spoilers because obviously I got to use manga material in this video. Might not no guarantee, but there might. So what are we talking about? Y'all see the title coming in from the left corner. The strongest boy alive. This young man really needs no introduction in the martial arts world. This young man battles veterans. This young man battles the best of the best and loves it. He is the king of the underground fighting world. It is none other than Hanma Baki. And coming in on the right side, we have the one simply known as the Asura. This young man is one of the most interesting, aggressive. He's one of my top favorite anime manga characters of all time. Top five, definitely. Okay, love it, love him. He is a fighter who specializes in the Nico style. Okay, none other than Tokita Ohma. Let us begin. Now, I will say this though, not gonna get in depth, but if you don't know the ending of King and Ashura, manly tears will shed. Manly tears will shed. That's all I'll say. Manly tears were shed. Woo! Man. Anyways, but we're here for this fight, right? And y'all know if you've been around how I get down with my death matches. This ain't like death battle with screw attack, screw it up. No, 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 no. We go in depth. We go multiple categories and actually break this thing down like a legitimate fight. All right. We have three categories, and under each category, we have a few different subcategories. Beginning as we always do around here with the attack category. You have strength, meaning physical strength, lifting strength, and all that good stuff. Speed, which is combat speed, is not the same as transit and movement speed, okay? Let's not get this confused. Some people, like in the Dragon Ball world, they tend to fight faster than they move. And in DC, they tend to um, travel faster than they fight on by and large. Now there are exceptions, like with characters like Silver Surfer, where they fight and they travel pretty much the same. Then we have techniques, which are self-explanatory, and finally DC, destructive capacity slash power, how much stuff you can either blow up, punch, things of that nature. Starting with the physical strength category, this is actually very, very interesting. Um, Neither of these two gentlemen, these two young men, showcase a lot of lifting feats. They really don't. Now if this was Hanma Yujiro, then we would have more crystallized. But I have to overall go with Baki on this one. We know the kind of fighters, physical fighters that Baki has to go with. And when you go throughout the series of King and Ashura, you notice that Ohma, he literally utilizes more technique to overcome his his weaknesses, whether it be in strength, speed, or otherwise. Okay, so I have to go with Baki from feats that are shown more consistently. While he is not his father, he's comparable. I mean, he can compete with guys like Biscuit Oliva. He can compete with no spoilers, but in the current sumo arc, he can compete with an ancient sumo user. Okay, we've seen it time and time again. Oma is he's obviously strong, but we've never seen anything that comes close to potentially dealing in hundreds, if not tons. Okay. I'm not saying Ohma, he doesn't get dominated by Baki, but Baki does have an edge nonetheless. Moving on to speed. Speed is interesting. Baki is faster if we're talking than base Ohma. Ohma has what is called an advance. Now the problem with the advance is it's like Luffy's Gear Secondo, if you know One Piece. Pretty much what the advance, and now obviously it's a technique, part of Ohma's skill set. But the advance is like overdriving the cardiovascular system. So it's like super pumping. It's kind of how Rob Lucci equated it to kind of a steroid situation, or potentially giving yourself a damn stroke multiple times over. So it's very similar. If you know One Piece and Gear Secondo, it's very simple. Very, very similar. Okay. Obviously, Oma doesn't have a rubber body, but you get the general mechanics of the matter. Now, I mean, there's obviously more intricacies to it, but that's unimportant in this. Again, Baki can hit you multiple times in zero point 0.5 seconds. Oma, he's fast. But again, there are plenty of fighters. Well, I wouldn't say he's mediocre in the tournament when it comes to speed or strength. He's like what Oma is. Oma, and we'll get more to his fighting style and stuff. But Oma's kind of that all arounder. If you play like Super Smash Bros. Or them old kart games, Mario Kart, CTR stuff, Oma's more of an all arounder. He does favor certain skills more than others, but he's an all arounder. He doesn't excel in certain skills more than others. So it's partially how he was trained, it's partially how his body is. So there is that. The advance makes, I would argue, Oma faster, but he can't maintain that. So overall, Baki has better feet showings, and on a consistent. Like we'll see Oma blitz somebody, but consistently Oma's more so on the defensive. And against some people who aren't even that fast, like versus the fisherman. Fisherman wasn't that fast. The old man was not that fast. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, we also see that he got caught by, I think it's Anaba, his first fight in the tournament. So, you know, too many low showings for Oma in this kind of matchup. Again, it's not like Baki overwhelms him with speed, and Baki's not a speedster himself, but it's enough of an edge to where it could potentially matter in this fight. Now to techniques. Oh good God. Um More diversity goes with Baki. But as far as a more effective nature, it goes with Oma. I say they're on par. Here's why. Like I said, Baki, his fighting style is no style. We'll go more into that later when we get into fighting style. But he can hit you with pretty much any kind of punch kick you can think of modern martial arts. Okay, whether it be he takes stuff from boxing, from he's more of a striker. He can grapple, but really Oma and here Oma would have the advantage when it comes to grappling, even though Baki is physically stronger. Oma is more of a grappler. Now, Oma is not to where he's Miyazawa Kiichi from the Tough series. He ain't on that level. But he does have a way of dealing with grappling, even though he's a striker as well. Not saying Baki, even though Baki's called a grappler, he doesn't really grapple. He's a striker, bro. That's just what it is. So when it comes to striking Baki, take whatever martial art, Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate, you name it. Baki for the most part does it. Baki, you don't really see Wing Chun and in Chinese martial arts, you don't really see that. But Japanese martial arts, Baki has the whole toolbox and tool shed for the most part. Like I said, modern. Um, when it comes to, and he's constantly learning too. But so is Oma. Oma has the Nico style. Now, the Nico style, I've already mentioned the advantage, which isn't exactly part of Nico style. He's got something called the flame kata, the water kata, different stuff, and willow wisp, different techniques he utilizes. But the adamantine, where it can like toughen his muscles and cause him to be kind of like the Armored Titan or Colossus. Okay, Armored Titan from Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan. Colossus with the metal skin. So you have that kind of situation going on. You have the Water Kata, which is more defensive, agility based. The Flame Kata is more of an aggressive style. And there's a fourth one that I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a little bit since I read it, but he has four basic styles. If you're into the series, you'll know. So I would put them relatively on par with techniques. You could argue either one being better in the technique game. It is what it is. Now moving on to destructive capacity slash power. Believe it or not, this one was one of the biggest ones where I was mulling over. I'm like, I was looking at both sides. I can hear the argument for either, gentlemen. So that I will go there on par. Because Baki is tough to determine as a fighter. Like Baki, he and Ohma are so similar. They're strong, they're powerful fighters, but they're not overwhelmingly so. They beat you with techniques. They're constantly overcoming um, opposition. Miyazawa Kichi from the Tough series that I alluded to before is the same kind of thing. Where these guys, all of them are all arounders, okay? And I'm bringing him up to that, and if you know the Tough series, you don't understand. Where they're constantly beating physically superior fighters. I mean, neither Oma nor Baki are big dudes, really. They're muscular, but they're not. Baki, if I remember correctly, looking it up, he's like 153 pounds, something like that. He's not. I mean, the dude's practically junior middleweight, maybe middleweight at best. He's not a hulking behemoth like you see a lot in the series. And Oma's in a similar camp, okay? Neither of them are giants of men as far as in height wise. Both of them pack a punch, but both of them don't so much rely on power. They're more technical, even though they don't come across as technical fighters. So there's that. Overall, I give the slight advantage to Baki in the attack category. And if you know both fighters, this should not come as a shocker. This is not a surprise. But it's close. It is very, very close. Now, as far as in defense, we have, again, four subcategories. We have reaction time, durability, stamina, and agility. As far as in reaction time goes, this clear as day, just like with speed, but even more so, this goes with Baki. Ohma takes a lot of hits. Ohma takes a lot of hits. He ain't Zaraki Kenbachi level with it, but he takes a lot of hits. Baki will dodge your ass. Baki is constantly moving and getting around. I'm not saying that Ohma is a punching bag, okay? But he's kind of more Rocky Marciano, where Baki is more Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay, very, very light on his feet, very, very agile and mobile. So that's just the nature of the beast. When it comes to durability, I gotta give it to Oma, especially considering he has the adamantium, indestructible kata that he can use to harden his skin and such. Baki can take punches. I'm not question without question. Baki can take punches, but Oma's fighting style, unlike Nico's, his sensei. Almost fighting style is kind of centered around that. He's kind of like Wolverine. Well, Wolverine can dodge and is very agile. He takes a lot of punishment. Daredevil Matt Murdock's in a weird kind of situation where Matt Murdock has one of the greatest agilities in the Marvel universe, right? But Matt Murdock also takes a wallop as well. So almost kind of in that camp. And we've seen it time and time again. This dude seems like he's beat down. He's like Luffy. Seems like he's done. And Luffy's another great example. Phenomenal with agility, but he still has the durability in case he gets caught. When he gets caught is more like it. Now, when it comes to stamina, I gotta go with Baki as time is going on because we've just seen more feats where Baki. I mean, they're fighting for 30 plus minutes casually. Um, I forget how long the father son fight was. The second one, obviously. I'm not talking about when he was a kid. Uh, we seen this time and time again. Baki doesn't really get tired, fam. Baki just keeps going. Like unless he's put out of commission, Baki just keeps fighting. But we seen Oma, whether it be with the advance or just otherwise, he gets tired. Partially because he uses high stress level techniques. Baki's are more fluid, a lot. He uses more basic, like not Orochi Dopo level fundamental basic, but he uses a lot more efficient movement. He uses a lot less flashy movement. It's just, I'm going to strike you. I'm going to kick you right in the neck or whatever. You know, Another thing I should bring up about techniques that I didn't bring up is Baki has what's called imagination. He, for example, can imagine a triceratops and utilize that to his advantage. I meant to bring that up earlier, so keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to agility, come on, I already talked about it with both the reaction time and speed. It is clear that Baki is the far superior one. We've seen this dude literally about to get slammed and somehow twist. Like in a recent chapter versus I mentioned the ancient sumo fighter. Baki literally is about to get slammed, allows himself to fall with the flow and be a-okay. We see no feats like that from Ohma. At least especially on a consistent basis. Baki does fights his whole has built a fighting style around such movements. So overall, Baki has more of a resounding edge in the defense category than he did in the attack category. Now we move on to strategy, and under strategy we have three subcategories: location, fighting style, and fighting IQ. Okay, because a lot of people don't take into consideration how much fighting intelligence actually matters, right? So, in terms of location, well, it shouldn't so much matter. Neither they're not fighting in the air, they're not aerial, they're not going to be fighting underwater. Um, Both of them are close to mid-range fighters, so it doesn't matter where they fight. Doesn't matter if it's urban. Doesn't matter what the case may be. Both of them have showcased the ability to pretty much fight anywhere. So location is irrelevant as it is in a lot of these matchups that I have. Some matchups it does matter, but a lot more of even matchups, unless there's a specific counter ability, they don't matter. Um, Fighting style. I've already mentioned Baki not having any specific style, but I wouldn't call him a freestyle fighter. Baki just, if you will, he's more of read and react. Baki, he's just a really skilled fighter. He's a jack of all trades kind of guy. Okay, he never, not in karate, not in unlike his dad. His pops, Yujiro, all sorts of fighting styles he's mastered. Baki can use things at a high level, but he never mastered, whether it be sumo, Muay Thai, Kenpo, um, boxing, kickboxing, nothing really, no jujitsu, nothing. He can do them. He's skilled. He's just a very, very highly skilled fighter. When it comes to Ohma, he has the Nico style that he almost exclusively utilizes, and it's built on a philosophy. And again, that's a full in-depth discussion that I don't want to address in this video. Also, it spoils for the series itself, so I'm trying to avoid the spoilers as much as possible. But it's a system that, and there are ultimate techniques and stuff. There's Ogi and whatnot, but it's a system to where it addresses all four. It's like the four fundamental, ancient Greek uh, views on elements. You had fire, water, earth, and wind, right? Wind and earth. Well, it kind of takes that concept and implements it into the form of martial art. Strong defense, powerful offense, the ability to adjust and adapt defensively, um, and then converting that into offense. Um, so Alma has a supreme faith in that Nico style. And there are times where that faith is tested and wavered, but no, he goes till the end of him, to where To the very end, he goes down with the Nico style, similar to Makunouchi Ippo with the Dempsey role and such, and Hajime no Ippo. Now, when it comes to fighting IQ, both of them have a pretty high fighting IQ. You can literally, it's so nitpicky, and you can make easily make arguments for. I would see the arguments for Baki, and I'll be like, I don't fault you for having that view. And I also see the arguments for Ohma. And I'm like, I don't fault you for having that view. I mean, with Baki, we've just had a hell of a lot more time. And he's had a hell of a lot more fights to be able to see the totality of his fighting IQ. But when you look at Ohma, while he's not fighting genius level, I mean, all of his fights were against extremely different opponents. And there were no run backs, okay? So, and he was constantly fighting people that you could argue were at a much higher skill level than him. Baki's not at that level, especially by the time you get to Son of Ogre. Baki is one of the best fighters on the planet, period. He's top 10 casually. Some can even argue top 5. Depends on which era in the Baki series you are, you know. So, there is that. Um, Overall, I knew this would be tight, and I knew it would be tough, and it was part of the reason I held off for so long is because I had to actually think about it and break it down, analyze which fighter comes out on top. Overall, it kind of does go toward the expected Baki, but I don't think it's a landslide. If you make the argument, this is definitely one of the closest battles death matches I've ever introduced on this channel, straight up. If you argue for Tokita Ohma, I'm not. First of all, as a fan, I'm definitely not mad at you, but I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad. This is so splitting hairs. Like when you talk about a 51-49, I don't even know if it's that. It might be a 50.5, 49.5. Like it's this is such a tight battle. Oma has edges. Not really. Baki has edges, excuse me. Oma can compensate and overcome those. But Baki also has the ability to overcome his weaknesses. So it's such a nail biter of a photo finish. I have to, in all objectivity, give because of the edges, especially on the defense, even though the offense, I think the offensive edges, they're slight enough, and the defense is good enough to where Baki comes out of this. Because we also know Baki does also have the demon back. He has a number of things that he can aid, just like Oma does. And Oma, I mean, at the end of the day, the real determining factor would probably come down to that stamina. I mean, you can look at durability, you can look at the reaction time, the speed, and the strength, and all of that, but they don't stand out enough. The agility, they don't stand out enough. Both have seen people with better than what the other brings. So there's that. But that stamina, man, Baki can keep going. I don't know how long Oma can, especially if he cracks out the advance, just to make sure he keeps up and maybe even exceed Baki's speed. These are my thoughts. What are yours? Unexpected Wonder. Like, comment, subscribe. Give me some suggestions, and I may get to them. Okay, especially if they're good matchups. Especially if they're good matchups. Hopefully, death matches. I try to, put them more infrequently, but and I've been saying this over the years, I really need to get to a lot of them. But it takes me a lot of thought and sometimes a lot of research, especially if it's been a while since I read or watched the series. So there's that. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.